Hello and thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today on the program, President Buhari promises to shock those calling him Baba Go Slow in his second term. APC constitutes panel to probe Amosun, Okorocha and others over anti-party activities. And later on the show, UBEC, that's the Universal Basic Education Commission, says only 57% of 1.5 million basic education teachers are qualified as shortage of teachers hit schools. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akinpelu. Journalist Hangout starts now. Perception is very powerful because it is the sum total about somebody or something. Hence, this view expressed by American comedian and writer Stephen Colbert that facts matter not at all. Perception is everything. It's certainty. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to change people's perception about him, that he's slow in making decisions. Speaking in Abuja on Monday, President Buhari said those who describe him as Baba Go Slow are in for a shock in his second term. He promised to be hard to ensure police and judicial reforms that will bring about the needed change in the country. We're set to see about that in a few days from now. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Now, I spent time to watch that interview, and the background to the question was his response that if he will come down hard on economic saboteurs and to those calling him Baba Go Slow. Now, when asked to explain further, he said, I quote, "It means I will persuade the police and the judiciary to be hard. And where I uncover that they are not hard, I will find out who is responsible for the slowness in terms of command from the DPO upwards." Can we take the president's words to the bank? Babajide, I'll start with you.
I think it's even wrong to assume that when the president is perceived as slow or described as slow, we are simply talking about security matters. No, it's beyond that. There are policy decisions that the president can take that take so long for him to take those decisions. There are times when you need the president to give an order, a presidential order, perhaps to mobilize troops, because he's the one who has the power to do that, to mobilize troops to areas where people are being killed, and it takes so long before that directive is made. Remember the killings in Benue State. The president eventually solved the problem, but before he took the decision, the decision was slow. This decision, it took him so long to take that decision, but eventually we saw that he solved the problem. The same thing happened in Mambila, where so many people were killed. The president eventually even went to Mambila, and he gave the directive that anyone carrying an AK-47 must be dealt with. Eventually, the killing stopped in Mambila. But the point is, it takes the president so long to take decisions. If we go back to the speeches made by people, by big Benue people, especially during the funeral for the 100 people that were killed in January last year, they were saying that the response was slow. That was the comment. And if you remember, even the killings that took place in Benue South, what are these people called? David Marks. No, not simply Idoma. I'm talking about the community.
Oh, okay.
That was attacked. Yes, Doma is the tribe, but that community.
The name escapes me now. But,
yes,
there's a particular community.
Yes, so they've always had issues with headsmen and all that. Agatu. Great. It took so long before the decision to send troops was taken. By the time the decision was taken, so many people had died. The president, it took him so long to even constitute his cabinet. The president he returned from the UK and told us that he was going to reshuffle his cabinet. He in fact wrote a letter to that effect to the National Assembly. He never touched the cabinet. The president will be in a situation in which a member of the cabinet, either because he wants to go into politics or for one reason or the other, or he dies, leaves the cabinet. The president will not replace. So we are not talking about police. As we speak, Ogun State does not have a representative. Yeah. Abi?
Yeah.
And Ogun State is not the only one. Look how long it took to replace the lawyer, that lawyer from Kogi State, the one who died in the accident on Kaduna Highway, yes, you know, Ocholi. It was almost a year. I mean, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that, Mr. President. So the truth is, it is his actions that will make Nigerians truly believe that indeed in his second term, he will be a different president. It is not by issuing threats or boasting that this is what you do. Let Nigerians feel that yes, you are going to be a changed president. You will no longer be Baba Go Slow, because he is indeed Baba Go Slow. Someone once said that the president rather hits the ground running. He hit the ground and remained there. So these perceptions are real, and I'm sure that the president knows it. He knows it. So there are many things that need to change in his second term for him to give himself immortality as a Nigerian leader. He has given himself immortality as a man who has integrity. But as a leader, as the leader of the Nigerian people, as a president, he needs to give himself immortality, positive immortality, and it is by changing, not simply waiting definitely before you take decisions that are really germane.
I'm glad you started off by reminding us that this perception about him being Baba Go Slow is not necessarily restricted to police and judicial reforms. No. It goes back to the first when Nigerians were waiting for him to constitute his cabinet. Now, as we enter the second term, you know, the perception also, you know, rested a lot on the delay in kicking off the economy, and then during the first term, recession setting and all of that. In the second term now, there's also, as we enter the second term, there's also the warning that, you know, another recession may set in. So, Mayor, what are the things that, the decisions that you like the president, you want to see the president take that indeed will begin to reduce this perception?
Yeah, like I said, I hope I'm not optimistic. Why I'm not optimistic is because when you are in your 70s, you are set in your ways. It's very difficult for people to change. They may pretend a little, but it's very difficult for people to change. And it seems the president's style is to sleep on things for considerable length of time before taking decision. I think that is his style of doing things, which is not right. But since he claims he wants to change this time around, the first thing that I would advise the president is that in other climes, even countries that are more complicated than ours, the president of the United States come in and he starts making appointments immediately. He meets with people who wants to be part of his cabinet, and he starts appointing them. I don't think when you don't have ministers for 6 months, it does not show seriousness. Between now, by the time you are declared president and you have transition committees, that should also include those that you want to be in your cabinet. I expect that. So, by the time you become president, you are sworn in, you should hit the ground running. It should not just be the chief of staff and your media team that should be in place. You know, what you are just doing is to put the government in abeyance, because there's nobody doing anything. People are just rolling every day. It shouldn't be like that. So I think by now, the president should be able to meet with inner caucus and be able to decide these are the people that I want. So it shouldn't take another 6 months for us to have ministers. That's one. Two, the president should be seen to be in charge. Part of the problem that I have with the president is that he has this, because of his slowness, he has this nonchalant attitude that portrays as if he's not in charge. And power cannot exist in a vacuum. If the president and commander-in-chief does not exercise his powers, other people will exercise their powers on his behalf. And that is part of the things. Another thing is that people will not take the president seriously, including his aides. Because we've seen a president who told us that he's not aware that he gave a directive to an inspector general of police and it did not affect that. It's because the style of governance is so laid back that even when he issues an order, there is no follow-up to see that that order has been adhered to. And we should not see that again, because if you have subordinates who know that you are not thorough or you are not really checking them, they will do whatever they like. That's the human nature. They will do whatever they like. But when they know that you have a boss that is hands-on, who knows what you are doing, who expects results, it will jar you up to be able to do things because, Oga will check tomorrow. If you have a boss that gives an order to say, look, there is security situation in Benue, I want you to go there and fix it and report back to me. If the man knows that the president will come back in another 24 hours or 48 hours to say, look, I want that report of what I asked you to do on my desk by tomorrow, the subordinate or the IG or whoever will do that. But because if you notice, even the army, when the president first came in, everybody was pressing Burantai, that the army were doing very well. You understand what I'm saying? But if you see now that there's a lot of criticism of the service chiefs, and everybody is saying that they don't know why the services have not been changed. Because everybody is laid back. They know that the president will just allow things to roll. It should not be like that. That's his style. I think he has to change that. For example, executive will initiate a bill. They will initiate a bill to the National Assembly. The National Assembly will eventually sit on that bill. They will do public hearing. They will do a lot of things. They will now pass the bill. They will send the bill back to the executive. And the president will refuse to sign because the style is to say, oh, let me send this bill to agencies and those involved. Let them make recommendations to me. Meanwhile, those people were the people that maybe for one reason or the other, the National Assembly or those who enacted the law wanted to check. So when you send that kind of bill to such people, of course, because they are interested in it, they may give advice opinion. Then it comes to him, then he sits on it and gets other people and drags. So he has to change his style. It's not that like it's not by voicing it or saying that I'm going to change. I won't be able to go slow. My fear is that is his nature. It's somebody that naturally is not quick to take decision. He likes to sit on it and wait and all that. And we can't afford that because we can't afford that. Right. Nigeria is in a hurry. We want the president to take decisions quickly.
Jide, Mayor says the president appears to be set in his ways, and after 70 you don't change. It's difficult to change. And indeed, it's been said that when the president has made up his mind about some people, those he works with, that it's difficult for him to change, and that's why we saw the delay, or we didn't see a cabinet reshuffle as such. No. Are you ruling out the possibility that the president could change?
No, I'm not. All we can do is just pray for him and wish him well. As for whether the president will change, I'm not confident that he will change. There are things that I've known about this president for up to 25 years. And I still see signs that he has not really changed because I didn't get to know him today. You know, I've known him closely for decades. So, and there are things about his conduct that I can tell you have not changed. So that is his way. He takes his time to do things, and he is slow to make appointments. Remember, even board appointments. Agencies are being run without boards, you know, which is against the laws of the land. It took so long before board appointments were made. And people who contributed to bringing APC to power, a lot of them were already despondent. you know, and very angry. But eventually, those board appointments came. And then we had people like the little man who is the minister of, former minister of labor, refusing to even constitute the board of his own, in his own ministry, you know. So somehow that conduct simmers down. And you get to see signs that even some of the people with the president have been influenced by his very nature. You see slowness to make things happen and all that. We can only hope. Look at the presidential order now to rid the papa of those tankers. It was a very good decision. But this should have happened a long time ago. And it shouldn't just happen. Efforts should have been made to ensure that the thing is sustained and that the intention of government to ensure that that place is cleared of those tankers, because our roads are not designed to carry dead weight. Yeah. Like those tankers. They are damaging those roads, you know, and causing people to relocate from those areas and destroying the economy in the process. But that decision has come in the twilight of the president's first term, and we can see, I've seen pictures of the place free of the endless traffic that used to characterize the place. So we want some energy, you know, maybe some very good ministers coming in, people who really know what they are doing, coming in will help the president, because the president is not Voltron. He cannot, he can't do it alone. He needs the right people to work with him. Hopefully, he will choose the right people. But the feeling that I have is that a lot of these ministers, a good number of them will come back. I hope the president will disappoint me by kicking into touch some of the ministers that have not really impressed us.
All right, will the president become Baba Go Fast in his second term? We'll find out as we continue to look at some of the issues that elicited that comment from the president. Stay with Journalist Hangout. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for staying with us. You're on to Journalist Hangout on TVC. Undoubtedly, party discipline is an important ingredient for cohesion and political strength. The governing All Progressives Congress, APC, is still reeling from electoral wounds inflicted by indiscipline on the part of some highly placed members. It's wielding the big stick. The APC National Working Committee, NWC, has set up a 5-member committee to review petitions on anti-party activities against members in some states. In a statement, the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lanre Isa Onilu, explained that the decision followed several petitions from some members alleging anti-party activities, including working against the party or its candidates during the 2019 general election. Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State and Ibikunle Amosu of Ogun State are among some of the party bigwigs so accused. Is this another banana peel for the APC? Will it lead to an implosion within the ruling party, Babajiri?
No, certainly not. And this kind of crisis is better managed at this time, not when you are approaching an election year. So many things have happened within the party that if the leaders who sit up and tell themselves the truth, APC has not behaved like a cohesive party. And at every opportunity, you see those signs. For example, and I've told a lot of friends this, APC could have won more states in the last election if not for infighting and deep-seated animosities between members of the party. In Adamawa State, APC caused APC to lose. In Bauchi, APC caused APC to lose. In Sokoto, APC caused APC to lose. In Osun, APC almost caused APC to lose. In fact, it's by miracle that they eventually won the election, because clearly there were individuals who made up their minds to work for the enemy. They did that also in Ogun State. They did that in Ekiti. If you have a situation in which people make up their minds to work against their own party, then you have to do something about those individuals. Look at Kabiru Marafa. I agree, and I've said it before, that the Zamfara crisis, APC leadership didn't do well, because clearly the leadership of the party, led by Oshomole, had made up their minds that it had to be a particular candidate. So they were not prepared to even look at whether Yari had his own candidate or not. Dauda Lawal was their own candidate, the former banker. Yes, you can have your own candidate, but let primaries take place. Let the rightful candidate emerge. The interest, the conflict of interest among three different groups ensured that in the end we have this crisis that led to PDP clearly reaping where it did not sow. People, they've not done transition, nothing like transition, but PDP is going to take power in Zamfara, or they've even taken power. They hardly spent money on campaigns. They didn't win any polling station, but today they have victory. Why? Because APC decided to work against itself. You saw what happened during the election, even in Ondo State, where even the governor and his people were clearly supporting candidates different from the choice of the party. So if you keep having this situation, and it also happened in Imo and Ogun, I'm telling you that if APC had sorted itself out, it will have won Imo easily. Because when you tally the votes of Ogumba, Uche Nwosu, with that of Hope Uzodinma, APC will have won that state.
PDP.
APC will have won that state. In any case, the APC leadership made a grave error, which shows clearly that they do not even try their best to appreciate the strength of, the trend of voting in an area. Hope Uzodinma should not have been their choice. Not just because he came late to the party, but because people of Owerri had made up their minds that this time it had to be our son. And they are the senatorial zone with the highest voting potential. So you can see that the people who fought the governor were largely people from Owerri zone, his deputy and other people, and they moved into other parties. In the end, PDP got the most votes in Imo. But I'm saying that even if the party wanted to go against the governor, they could have gone for a candidate from Owerri, because Olu zone had done 8 years. You now brought a candidate from the same Olu zone to contest against Uche Ogumba from the same Olu zone. You should have known that the Owerri people that supporting a candidate from Owerri will give you a better chance of winning. No, they didn't. They were not privileged to think in the right way. That's a problem that they need to address. But where you have people like Kabiru Marafa, who will openly work, because it wasn't PDP that sued APC, who will openly work against his own party in Zamfara and have the guts to go on national television and be gloating after the party lost. Such people must be put on trial by the party. That is the point that I made last week. That is how parties are run. You can't be using the parties, you can't call yourself a member of the party and do your utmost to ensure that the party lost. You can't do that. And at a point he claimed that, that he had given up, No, But he still went ahead and ensured that the matter got to Supreme Court. So if you have people who work against their party, and they were lucky in Ogun, what happened in Zamfara will have happened in Ogun, because they looked at a point that there would not have been primaries. But they are lucky that eventually they had a semblance of primaries, and today, at least, someone is governor-elect in Ogun State. So the party has to put its house in order. There is too much division, there is too much selfishness, there is too much impunity. If you even look at some of the people who have had their certificate of return taken away by INEC, you see that there are so many of them are APC members, which means that something was wrong in their emergence, either they emerged illegally or somehow, or they are products of impunity or something like that. So these are things that they need to address. The party must stay disciplined, stay cohesive, and this is where it starts. Let everyone who works against a party, against his own party, know that it is wrong, and the sanctions that should come with that, you know, you must be ready to take those sanctions. For the governors who have been suspended, I don't think this is really meant for them. All that they need to do is determine amongst themselves, should we leave the suspension or even increase the sanction? I think that's the reason some of these two governors have been mentioned. But there are other cases that arose out of the last general election for which people have been identified, and they are going to be put on trial by their party.
You know, Judy, those who, you know, had the serious war of words with the national chairman ahead of the election, they said, if you come to equity, you must come with clean hands. And they reminded the national chairman that you also installed a successor. And as a matter of fact, you made your son a lawmaker. Mayor, what do you have to say about that?
Yes, I agree with that. I think part of the problem has to do with the leadership of the party. Like you said, they didn't come to equity with clean hands. They were part of the problem. And the board of trustees, who are supposed to be like the conscience of the party, have to look at the party critically, because it is also not fair for the party for party officials, not the party now, but for party officials who are in charge of organizing primaries to get interested in who emerges. Because that was what happened. A lot of them were interested in those who emerged, and they were openly supporting candidates. We shouldn't be. Yeah. That should be level playing field for everybody. And because of that, everybody was now trying to justify the impunity, and the party was the worst for it. I also agree that we have to do something about it, because initially, before the First Second Republic, the party was very powerful. The party could take decisions and is binding on everybody. But now there's so much impunity that nobody takes the party seriously. When they don't have their way, they will just move from that party and they'll just walk into another party. They will give them the position they want, and they keep doing what they like. So I think that the party should look critically at itself, because, yes, when you look at that election, they won the presidency, they won some states, but they've not done very well. If you look at the opposition party, PDP have won so many states, won so many.
They made bigger gains.
Yes, they made bigger gains. So they've not really done very well. Yes, they didn't manage their victory well. They didn't manage their victory well. So they should look at the party. They must be sincere with themselves and look at the party and tell themselves the home truth. Even the party officials who have constituted a committee now to look at those who did at the party, they also should look critically at themselves and the way they run the party and the way they take decisions. But I agree that those who work against the party must be sanctioned. You see, because if there is no what's the word now?
Punishment.
If there is no punishment for events, people will do it again.
Yes, it will be like you are encouraging them.
Yes, that is what is fueling the impunity. So they must be able to tell them that you cannot openly work against your party. If you don't like what is happening in the party, you leave the party. The party is an association of people who believe in the same cause. Yes. So if you don't agree with that party, you leave the party and go and do whatever you like in another party. But if you are a member of a party and you subscribe to the ideas of that party, then you must be seen to support that party. If you do anything that is contrary to the interest of that party, or to undermine the party, then there must be punishment for it. I sincerely believe that. Because what happened in the last election, simply put, is ridiculous. In different states, people openly worked against their party. That is unacceptable.
Speaking about what is unacceptable, this could be debatable. Since Ogun and Imo are in question, we recall the campaign where the president said, for the other elections, you can vote for any candidate except the presidential election. Was that exemplary as the leader of the party, Jide? No, or did the president not have a choice in that case?
We said it at the time that the president was wrong. I don't think there's any point going back. We told him at that time that what he did was unpresidential, that it was wrong. You should have campaigned for all candidates of your party. You know. So in any case, the president too had also kicked against the idea of some governors trying to force their will on everyone. So that was a mistake that the president made. But the point is, when you look at what happened overall, you look at the number of states that the APC lost, you see clearly that they lost those states due to infighting. There is no way, whether it's Oyo State, someone told me that, look, are you going to say that even in Oyo State that that happened? You can't tell me that there wasn't infighting in Oyo State.
It was because the minister for communication,
and the governor,
did not support the party.
Prince Will. Sorry, we have Prince Will from Apapa. Sorry, we kept you holding on for some time. Good evening, Prince Will. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still
there. Kinsley. Okay, Kinsley, very quick with your contribution.
All right, I want to make 3 contributions very quickly. The first is the presidential media chat yesterday. Jide has already said that the president gave the 2 hours order for Apapa Road to be cleared, and he was happy that that order was being carried out. I'm sorry to say that the order has not been carried out. I couldn't drive that way today. I had to park my car at Ijora under the bridge and take a bike. The whole place was blocked. There's a complete long line of trailers. So that is not true that it had been cleared. It's never cleared at all. The second thing I want to say is that...
is it that yesterday was it not cleared or that they've returned?
I didn't pass there yesterday.
You didn't pass. We sent people there. We saw pictures. We sent people there. So I couldn't have made that claim without seeing signs that there was flow of traffic. So if they have returned, that is a different thing, and we'll go back there and let government do the right thing.
All right, secondly, Majid, I want to beg you because your opinion is highly respected. I want to beg you to please, you should discuss the issue of court fight in Ajegule. It is so much. People are dying every day. Okay. They are not afraid of police. This has been on now for over 6 months.
Sure. Thank you, Kinsley. Evidently, he either works or lives in that area, so he's concerned. You were talking about Oyo, where there was also infighting.
You see, for some of the people who argue with us, they felt, the manner in which Seyi Makinde won that election was too overwhelming to say, oh, it was just infighting. But infighting is at the base. The source of the problem was infighting. The party was a lot stronger than that before the primaries.
Yeah.
Nobody can argue that. Before the primary, before the congresses, APC started having problems when those ward congresses and the rest of them were held. In Imo, it began with the ward congresses, when even the governor at a point did not even know where the voting would take place. The leader of the party in the state did not know, because some of the people sent from Abuja would deliberately hide from even party officials in the state. It was that bad, you know. So, and I knew from the beginning that there would be problems. Once we had those problems from at the level of world congresses and the rest, and they were taking themselves to court, this and that. So, Oyo, no one can say that APC crisis in Oyo and the infighting did not lead to what happened. No, nobody can say that. Even in Osun, we had it. People, the APC will have won the election easily in Osun, but today they are battling at the level of Supreme Court to retain that mandate, all because the election was close. And what made the election close? People went in different directions, joined different parties.
Yeah. Members of APC.
Members, yes. So this is the thing. The truth is the party must manage its congresses better next time. I know that so much damage was done before Shomole took over, but he has an opportunity now to make the party more cohesive. And what we are hearing between him and his deputy, the deputy chairman, is not what we want to hear. Admittedly, during the Zamfara crisis, while Oshomole was supporting Dauda Lawal, Senator Lawal Shaibu was supporting Yari's candidate. And Marafa was on his own. Yes, they've never really agreed amongst themselves. And what you want to see is that at the level of the party's ESCO, people should be able to work together. So if the chairman and the deputy chairman are even abusing themselves on the pages of newspapers, that should tell you that we have there will be problems ahead. And these are the things that we are talking about.
You know, the reason I asked the immediate past question is because apart from the congresses, you also recall that the method to adopt for primary also caused serious problems across APC in the states. I'm talking about direct primary and indirect primary that even led to, you know, a sort of disagreement between the national chairman and his installed successor in Edo State, Godwin Obaseki.
Yeah,
so
that's
at
why,
that level too,
okay.
Shouldn't it have been prevented before it degenerated?
Yes, that's why I said that part of the problem of the party has to do with the officials themselves. And it seems that we're still in for hard times there because the crisis between the deputy chairman and the chairman is just evolving now. We shouldn't be, because part of the problem is that the officials themselves are not running the party well. The party should be able, because there was a lacuna that every state should decide what they want, whether direct primaries or indirect primaries or consensus.
Or that all stakeholders must agree.
You understand? But I want to advise that the party should be able to have this question to be able to take decisions and enforce such decisions. Because part of the problem is that even the executives themselves, or those who run the party, are not together. So everybody is working at cross purposes.
No, it's it's conflict of interest.
And like it's conflict of interest. Like you said, yes, people might say that, yes, PDP could have won in Oyo, like you said. But part of the problem is that if you remember, when Governor Ajimobi won second term, what made him to win second term was the Okeogun votes. Because the Okeogun people supported him. Yeah. He didn't really win in Ibadan.
No, it was defeated by the Accord Party
in Ibadan.
Ladoja.
But
Ladoja won 7 local governments.
But Okeogun votes were the one that made him. But this time, even the Minister of Communication that is from Okeogun did not work for the party because they didn't even allow him to, because he had issues of certificate and all that. So they didn't allow him to even partake in the primary. So he just left them.
And they cleared the...
You understand? Okeogun. So
part of local governments.
Part of the problems if there had been that unity in Oyo, maybe things would have been different. So we have to go back to the party must know what they are doing. They are not running the party well.
Up till like 24 hours, or let me say 48 hours to the election, nobody knew who would be candidate of the APC in Cross River State because the Minister of State for Niger Delta, Uguru.
Usani.
Yes, Usani, and were contesting. They took themselves to court. Yeah. It took a last-minute judgment before somebody eventually emerged as candidate. And it was like that in so many states. The courts that eventually, after spending money on primaries, the courts had to intervene. The courts now said, okay, you are the candidate. Look at what happened in River State. Magnus Abe and Amechi, they didn't manage their crisis well. And it was Wike that now came to benefit from it. Because at the end of the day, APC was not on the
not
ballot.
on the ballot.
They were not on the ballot. No matter the efforts to use the platform of AA, it didn't work. It didn't work. Amechi, eventually, Amechi could not force his interest through. But if these gentlemen had worked together, perhaps it was the best chance that they had to defeat Wike, but they didn't agree to work together. And you now, how is it so easy for rival parties to sit in the background and be supporting legal battles initiated by APC members, knowing that at the end of the day they will be the ones to profit from it? You saw what happened in Rivers, where even when the court wanted to sit when NBA went on their can I call it strike at that time, supporters of the PDP sent talks to disrupt, and it was an APC matter that was going to be decided. But supporters of the PDP, who knew that they would benefit from APC not fielding a candidate, they were the ones who sent talks to disrupt the court sitting. So this is the thing. When you put your house in order, there is no way the enemy will be able to profit from even your little squabbles. But what we had was fighting themselves.
A house divided against itself cannot stand. Education is seen as the bedrock on which the society is built. But when that foundation is skewed, then the future could be described as gloomy. The Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Hamid Boboyi, has revealed that only 57% of the nation's basic education teachers are qualified. This is in spite of increase in population of the teachers from 841,716 in 2008 to 1.5 million in 2018. Apart from unqualified teachers, Boboyi also lamented poor learning outcomes and acute shortage of infrastructure in the education sector, despite huge investment. Where do we go from here? Particularly because the Executive Secretary has not said anything new. Mayor?
Yeah, I think the problem we have is that before, education used to be something to be proud of. But now it's a profession that nobody wants to really do. Even those that are professionals who studied education in universities don't want to teach. In a lot of states, they are not paid. When they are paid, they are not well paid. So there's no reason for anybody to be a teacher. And that is part of the problem. That is why the standard have gone down so badly that even when you see our students now, they don't even want to, they have to look for expo or cheat or do things to even pass exams. And it is so sad that it's part of, it's something that we have neglected and nobody is really looking at it, because it is ridiculous that teachers were not being recruited, and that in some schools we have only maybe 2-3 teachers who sometimes will not even come to class to teach, and because they are not paid, they have to go and look for other ways to survive. That could happen in the 21st century, when in other climes, science and technology is where people are investing to be able to take their country forward. It shows that we are not a serious nation. And I think we have to do something about it. The vote for our education is not enough. The standard is so bad, and we have to do something about it. That even states are not employing teachers is so sad. I mean, before, during the time of when we were doing regions, most of the development that we had in Western region then was because there was free education. Then brilliant students were given overseas scholarships, and they come back to build the economy and make the region at that time to be prosperous. So even people who were poor, people who were in the rural areas could send their kids to school because it was not only free. Even when the kids are brilliant, they can send them abroad. Now nobody is investing in education, and then we just And it is typical Nigerians, the elites, Nigerian elites, we have to look at ourselves properly. We have to really know what we want. Because when something is bad, instead of us to confront that problem, we look for other ways to solve the problem. So if public schools are not good, we'll send our kids to private schools. If the university is not, we will send our kids to private universities. And we just believe that, look, God will, let me just do my own. Let me send my child. You see now that in a country where people used to respect us, now we send our kids to Republic of Benin. We send our schools to universities in Ghana. You know, it just shows that we are not serious. And we have to do something about that, because for us to really achieve the potentials that this country, that we believe that will achieve, we have to invest more in education. We have to invest more in education.
Julie, before we begin to even lament that the budgetary spending on education is insignificant, there are reports that the state actors too are defaulting on counterpart funding for the Universal Basic Education Commission itself. So that's a problem that we should also talk about.
Yeah, state governors that find it difficult to pay WAEC and ECO fees of their students in their states. Why won't they default in the area of counterpart funding? Of course they will default. To them, it's a lot of money. The other day, WAEC held back from listing the states that were owing it, you know, so much money. It shows that we do not take education seriously. When you look at, when UBEC talks about the fact that 57% of, only 57% of teachers at basic level are qualified, you have every reason to believe that is probably, the figure is probably even lower than that. Because when Kaduna conducted
teacher test.
Yes, a test for teachers at basic level. Out of 33,000, I think 21,780 failed out of 33,000. And the same thing happened when Kwara conducted its own test. The failure rate was extremely high. You had a situation in which pupils passed, because the same exams were conducted for pupils. Pupils passed, but their teachers failed. So we really need to do something about the quality of people who get into the teaching profession. When you go to colleges of education in our country, for the cutoff mark in 2017, for example, was 100. That is the lowest that you could ever think of. Every other course, the cutoff mark was higher than that. So it means that it's the never-do-wells, is the weakest of the weak that we allow to go into teaching. If we do not find a way to do something about never-do-wells getting into teaching, there is no way that this problem will not persist. No education system in any country can rise above the quality of its teachers.
Absolutely.
And the problem is not simply, build fantastic schools. It's the quality of instruction. You can build schools with air conditioners and all that. No, that's not what matters. If you get a teacher that is brilliant, that is qualified, and he puts people under a tree to teach them, he will be able to impart knowledge and cognitive skills in those people, because he is a qualified teacher, is good enough. And who is a qualified teacher? He is the person who has the skills and who also enjoys teaching. Because if you do not enjoy teaching, you can't be a good teacher. You must like what you do. The best journalists, the best lawyers are people who take pride in what they do. If people who do not take pride in teaching can never be good teachers, because you must be flexible, you must be able to inspire confidence in the person that you are teaching. You must be able to motivate the person that you are teaching. But it's difficult to do all of that if you yourself, if you are not self-motivated to do that job. And government must do its best to encourage teachers. We don't pay them well, whereas you go to great countries of the world, teachers are among the highest paid. In our country, we think that teachers should not be paid well, whereas we all pass through teachers. Both of my parents were teachers. So I'm proud to be a son of a teacher. But we have relegated the teaching profession to something that is meant for the Lazarus stratum of society. And that shouldn't be the case.
That shouldn't be.
That's why we have this problem. And if we do not solve the problem, honestly, our country will continue to go down. Why are people complaining today that undergraduates cannot write good English? It's because from the foundation level, they got it wrong. Once you do not get it right from the foundation level, there is no way that it will not affect you as you go on. So that basic education, we have to prioritize basic education and ensure that the right teachers are in charge of basic education. I appreciate what the Kaduna State government was trying to do by first fixing basic education. But you saw how it transpired in the end. The governor had to slow down.
Yeah,
elections were coming and all that. And NLC was up in arms and all that. But look, if you conduct that same test across the country, it's the same result that you get.
I want us to quickly also look at UBEC itself. You know, with reports about allocating funds for the renovation, rehabilitation of schools, where contractors have been fully paid and the work was not carried out, is UBEC also judiciously spending what is made available to it? Very quickly, Mayor.
No, it's just part of the problem of the system. Nigeria has this reward culture when you give contract to somebody and he believes that it's his own share of the national cake and they just walk away and there's no punishment for things like that. So, like you said, the problem is not the infrastructure. Yes, part of the problem is infrastructure, but the problem is the personnel. We have to do something about the personnel because those who, despite the fact that they were not properly trained or not the best of brains that went to teaching profession, those who are even trained don't even want to teach. When you look at somebody who is a graduate of that, instead of you to teach, you'll be running around looking for jobs in other places than teaching. So it is that we should look at.
All right. That's all on Journalists Hangout today. We urge you to join us again tomorrow for another edition of the program. You can also watch Journalists Hangout on other platforms showing on your screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wenimo. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.